Welcome back. My name's Athan, and you are either watching or listening to Resell Radio, a show where we interview Depop sellers and share their journeys, experiences, and give you some insight to help you grow your own shop. Today, I'm going to be speaking to Holly from All That Retro. She's been a Depop seller for about 5 years now, and I think she's got a really inspirational story that is going to help a lot of sellers who are on their journey and want to achieve something similar to what she's done. She has started from nothing, no money, had moved out at a very young age and built this business in her spare time as a side hustle, eventually moving to the point where 18 months ago she could go full time. I think her story is really inspirational, and I think that she shares a lot of useful tips and insights to help you grow your own shop.
It's been good. I went full time about 18 months ago now.
Okay.
Just after I bought our house. So yeah, it's just growing year on year, so I can't complain.
Yeah. One of the things I'm always curious about is, did you become a Depop reseller because there was money to be made and you happened to like clothes, or did you really like clothes so you became a Depop reseller?
Really like clothes, so I became a seller. I basically started off on Depop really when it just sort of started getting going. And I was just selling my old clothes because I've always shopped in charity shops and vintage shops and stuff because I love vintage clothes, and you never get anything like it in a high street store. So even when I was like 13 years old, I'd be going to all the vintage stores and things. So I just started selling my old clothes. I'd have loads of vintage blouses and stuff just to clear out my wardrobe so I can go buy more stuff. And then I realised, wait, I can buy this for £1.50 in a charity shop and sell it for 15-20 quid. I might as well buy more stuff when I see stuff other people might like. So I just started doing that and just slowly grew it, and then moved more into men's stuff, the sportswear and brands, and just started growing it from that.
So the kind of clothes you sell, is that the stuff that you actually wear? Because I always find for me that when I like this sort of thing that I actually wear myself and sell, I do a lot better in. I tried some, I bought some cheap joggers from a wholesaler, and they're really cheap, but there's something just really boring about taking photos of shitty joggers that I'd never wear that I think are ugly, you know?
Yeah, I get that. Like I do wholesale now, but I try and handpick everything where possible. Sometimes I've just had my wholesaler pick for me. And then, if there's always some things that you're not really keen on, or for some reason you just don't like it, even though you know it'll sell. And it makes it 10 times harder to do the work to get it uploaded. Yeah. So there's like, I've got loads of clothes that I just keep putting to the side because I just can't be bothered to
I know, man.
Get it uploaded, even though it would sell. Like normally it's the things that I really don't want to spend the time on that sell straight away when I put them up. But I sort of wear so many different styles because I love vintage sportswear, Nike, Adidas, stuff like that, but I also really love proper vintage women's wear and things. So I have, my men's shop is kind of everything sportswear, but a lot of unbranded fun, funky knitwear and things like that, and shirts and sweatshirts, just like the vintage print, graphic prints and stuff. But I also have a women's shop that doesn't really get near enough attention from me because I'm always busy on my men's. But I have the women's shop just because I love women's vintage wear. So I can't go somewhere and not pick something up that I see. I just have that and upload on it every now and then just because that's what I love.
Fair enough. That was more of a hobby, and the other one's kind of the income stream.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting that you focus on men's, because I think you're the first seller I've spoken to that sells for the opposite sex.
Really?
Because I try to sell girls' clothes, and I just don't know what the fuck I'm doing, man. Like, I look at it and I think that it was a £5. It makes so much sense to me why that's worth so much money, and then it sells for £6. I just don't get what girls want to wear. So
it can be more difficult with girls because it's not like you're not just looking for the certain brands or the certain style. Women's wear is so, it varies so much. But yeah, no, with the menswear that I sell, a lot of it is unisex anyway. So I definitely started out because when I was going to the charity shop so often, I'd find like the sportswear, branded sweatshirts and things like that, and coats and jackets, and they were always good sellers. They would sell straight away, so I'd be stupid not to pick them up. So that was going really well. So I just kept focusing on that, and then now it's probably more unbranded stuff, just because it's easier to get hold of. There's usually a better profit margin, and I like that stuff more than the big brands and stuff at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of advantages to unbranded as well, because like you said, you can find something for £5 and sell it for 20 quid. Whereas when I have like a North Face jumper or a Stone Island, I can only get it so cheap because people know what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I know Jack, you heard of Jack Dainty Vintage?
Yeah.
You've seen his page?
Yeah.
So when I was talking to him, he had all these denim shirts in the background, and he picked them up for like £1.50 or £2 each.
Yeah.
There's nothing on my shop I could ever get that cheap, you know?
Yeah, you'll always get the unbranded stuff really cheap because there's so much of it, and not everybody is after that. Whereas most sellers, when they go to a wholesaler, they'll probably ask for the branded sweatshirts first. Like that's what everybody wants, because if you can get them, you can sell them easy. Whereas a lot of sellers might not want the pattern shirts or the funky knitwear or the unbranded graphic sweatshirts or print tees. So there's less demand, so it's a lot easier to get, and there's so much of it. So yeah, there's generally a much better profit margin, but I think it's a lot more fun. Like it makes my shop really colourful when I have a good light in, and I just prefer that really. Obviously, I do try and get as much branded stuff as I can because it will sell. So that's just easy money really.
Yeah, I guess it all just depends on what kind of clothes you wear, you know. Just because I wear the branded stuff, it makes sense for me to sell it. But equally, as I learn more about other sellers, I become more and more interested in the non-branded stuff. So if I pique an interest, I might go into it. So how old are you now?
25.
And have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur, like even before Depop?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember for my 16th birthday, I asked for money from my mom instead of presents. I just asked for money so that I could go and buy stock to sell on eBay. So I bought some jewelry to sell on eBay, and some phone cases and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely. I moved out on my own when I was 16, and then 2 years later, I met my partner Callum, and we started privately renting together. And then that's when I started selling on Depop. And then I was working full time the whole time. And then, it just the drive was to be able to not have to work for somebody else and just be able to work for me, pay the bills myself, and do what I want in my time, not have to spend so much time working for somebody else.
Yeah, the privilege of getting up in the morning and deciding what you want to do is amazing, man. I can't imagine now spending 40 hours a week doing something pretty much just because I'm getting paid to do it, not because I want to be doing it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy to think about it. I mean, I went full-time 18 months ago, and I would have gone full-time earlier, but I had to get a mortgage. So as soon as I got the keys to the house, I quit my full-time job. And it's just the best 18 months ever. I can get up, do what I want, I'll work when I want, and it's just amazing for me. I don't know about everybody else, but I love that freedom.
Good. I can tell from the way you're speaking that you love what you do. So yeah, that makes me happy. Take us back 5 years ago then. It's when you were starting your Depop shop, and then the journey you've been on since then. Obviously you've got a lot of sales now, got a pretty established brand. I think what's good about your brand as well is that I recognized it before I messaged you. I'd seen all those colors and that logo, I just hadn't brought it to mind. And then when I saw your logo again, I was like, I've definitely seen that about. So it's got a real strong sense of brand to it. How have you built towards that the last 5 years?
Oh, well, that's really good to hear. I have tried to make it stand out a little bit, because Depop is very much about being individual, being creative. So I've played around with the different photo styles and things, but what I'm on now, I'm really happy with. And I was going to do just plain white backgrounds, like to make it might look a little better with a plain white background, but I specifically wanted to do something different so that it's not like every other shop with the flat layers, plain white backgrounds, because they will all look the same then. It's difficult to tell who's who. So yeah, I definitely made a conscious effort to make it stand out, make it look a little different, so that if you were searching, you'd see the colors or you'd see the style and you'd know where it's from. And that might not work for everybody, but I've definitely tried to set it apart and build a brand, really, because that's the goal, isn't it? So what was the question? Sorry.
How you've kind of come on this journey the last 5 years. I think it's just that when people see what you've done, there's such like uniformity, and it's clear that you really know what you're doing, and it's kind of hard to conceptualize sometimes how you get there when you've got 4 sales and some scrappy tees with holes in them, and it's just so much to do, you know? So
yeah, I mean, I literally started with nothing. I didn't have money. I didn't get a loan. I wasn't living with, I was living on my own. So it's that's a lot different. That's a much different start to somebody that's living with their parents that have the disposable income. They don't have to pay rent, bills and stuff. So it kind of shows that it's possible to start with 0. And literally I was just selling stuff out my own wardrobe, use that money to go buy more stuff and just grow from there. And then it was like a slow process, because I was working full-time at the time. And I mean, getting home from a full-time shift and then having that drive to be able to work on your Depop all evening, you really need that, because it's so easy to just come home and just lie down and watch TV or play games or something.
mm-hmm.
But you know, evenings, weekends, I was just constantly working. And then just slowly build it. And then when you start seeing the progress, then that just drives you even more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I've done this in that long, so I can do this much better with this much time. Or and I mean, I've gone through so many different photo styles, and I've tried loads of different things. I mean, if you saw my shop 2 years ago, you wouldn't recognize it. It's completely different now. But it's just figuring out it. You're going to change it along the way. It's just figuring out what you like and being consistent with that if you like it.
Yeah. If you could look back then on everything that you've done so far, what would you have told yourself 5 years ago that would have helped you then?
Probably just sort of, I mean, I don't think I would have done anything differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I would have said work harder, work faster, work more. But then, I mean, I was working evenings, weekends, as well as my full-time job, so you can't really do more. So maybe even just like, take it easy. Don't put so much stress on every little thing. Because I'm really, really content with where I am at the moment. So I think it's just about finding your style. Don't try and do something that you don't really want to do, because it'll make it 10 times harder to do it, and then less motivation. So just if you're doing what you like to do, you're going to have the motivation and the drive to keep doing it, and 100%. It just makes it so much easier.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said there, because one of the things that I found, especially going full time, because I think when you've got a job and Depop's an extra thing, if you don't do it for a few days, then you don't feel too bad about it because it is a side hustle. But when it's your full-time occupation, you're not doing anything if you aren't doing it. But I feel like when I stop putting pressure on myself that I have to do something today, and just completely accept that I might have an off day, an off 2 days, an off week. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I just feel so much better about it in general, you know. Overall, I get more done because I'm not always like, I have to get this fucking long to-do list of shit done today or I fucked it all up, you know.
Yeah, it is difficult to get to grips with that. And I had the same sort of struggle when I went full time, because I was thinking, well, if, you know, I can't just be sitting around doing nothing. I have to do as much as I can, because now that I've got all this time.
Mm-hmm.
But then I've got to grips with it, and now I just think it's only fun if I'm doing it and doing what I want to do, because otherwise what's the point in working for yourself? You might as well just work for somebody else. So yeah, I usually work in the mornings, and that's when I do all my packing, get things done, and then I mean I'm happy to have like days off and relax. I mean, it is really difficult to switch off because your phone's right next to you, so if you get a message and stuff, you're going to reply, and it's really difficult to switch off. But I try to feel a lot less guilty about doing nothing and having days off, as long as I get the minimum done that I need to do, then I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, that's definitely the best way to put it. That's kind of the mindset I'm trying to shift into, because when you put all this pressure on yourself to just get loads of shit done, in the short term you might have a really good day or two, but in the long term you have so many periods of just fucking sitting in bed and doing nothing because you feel like you can't get it all done. So it's just better to take the pressure off a bit. So you talked a bit earlier about where you source your stock, and the reason I'm picking up on it is because I've been doing some experiments myself with wholesaling. So the suppliers you go to, do you use any of the big ones like Bulk, Fox Vintage, any of those people?
I use I sometimes do, but it's like I said, with unbranded vintage, it's really easy to find that and to get it from anywhere. Like, that's the type of stuff that you can just order online, and if you're ordering like pattern shirts, that it's going to be a pattern shirt. It's quite difficult to get that very wrong, so they're quite easy to just order online. But yeah, with the sportswear and stuff, it's if you're just a sportswear orientated brand, it can be really difficult to find suppliers and stuff, because you have to think they have loads of customers, all want the same thing, and they're not just going to give the good stuff to the new person that comes and asks for it, because they have to give it to the loyal customers that have been around for a long time. So yeah, it's difficult, but my best advice would be to handpick. Just book handpicks in, even if you're not sure about the company. If you book a handpick, you can't go wrong, because you're going to go there, you're going to pick exactly what you want. But ordering online is always risky, even from like the top wholesalers. It's always risky. So, but yeah, I'd say just at least handpick for the first time, and then look about ordering online if you can't keep handpicking, because handpick prices can be more expensive. So if it's just the generic vintage unbranded stuff, then you're definitely going to get a much better price ordering online.
Yeah, I agree with the handpicking thing. I mean, first of all, make sure that you can kind of operate to a specific niche, get all the brands you like, and your store that's consistent. And yeah, with the big suppliers, especially with the sportswear stuff, I just think that if it's so simple as to Google vintage wholesale and in 3 clicks find a bundle of Nike stuff, so many people have already done that, so it just can't be that good. But if it does take you ages to search through Instagram hashtags every day, keep looking on the Twitter hashtags, and you're on like the 10th page of the Google search engine, or someone on Facebook Marketplace has told you about someone else who sells out of his garage, and then you find that supplier, it might take a bit longer, and like you said, it's a bit risky, but if you do eventually find that guy, no one else is going to have found them. So you're so much more likely to get really, really good stuff, you know. I think the people like Fox and Bulk, they're a good starting place because you can get used to things a bit, but the stock's only going to be so good when 1,000 other people are also buying that stuff.
If you want to check Holly out, highly recommend you do. She's All That Retro on Instagram, and then through there you can find her Depop shop. She's also got All That Retro Girls if you're searching on Depop for her second shop. Links will be in the description, so you can just tap them and go straight to her. Definitely recommend you take a look at her shop. You know, either because you're interested in the clothes that she sells, or because you're just interested in her as an entrepreneur and want to be a part of her journey. If you're watching this on the YouTube, then make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you let us know if you found something useful, any insight that you picked up from the video. Someone else might read that comment and it might give them a bit of insight as well. Also, let us know if you're not finding this kind of content helpful, because then we can think of other things we can do for you, other ways we can help you grow your Depop shop. That's our objective. Let us know in the comments below if we managed to do that or not. Thanks as always for joining us. We appreciate the time. I hope we're adding value. Keep hustling.